brought a kit that had this muffler in it. It's quite nice, it does what it needs to. Then I took the exhaust that came with it and, well, I chopped it up and made it fit so that I could test the engine, run it. It's not very good. So what I'm going to do is take this 316 stainless tube and make a new one of these. Now, this doesn't have any bends in it, so what we're going to do is a bunch of pie cuts. The tricky thing, marking it out. Now, first thing, this is a mirror finish, so I want to protect that finish. What we're going to do is masking tape. That should be enough to get us going to start with. Now, the important thing is to make it easy, if we can do a horizontal line down each side that are perfectly opposed to each other. Now, easiest way I have found is anything with a square edge, hold the pipe, and that gives me some marks to start with. Then we've got a piece of angle, and then now, if you haven't seen that before, putting a piece of pipe in a bit of angle will give you a perfectly straight edge to actually draw a line on the pipe that runs all the way along. So, useful trick, that one. Next we need the drop saw. Now this drop saw, I've already set that to 9 degrees and I also made this little plate. Now it's just a guide that is 16 millimeters high, this edge. So when I put the pipe in, I just line this line up with that edge and do my cut. And then I rotate that 180 degrees to the other line it up and do the next cut. And that means that all my cuts will be perfectly aligned every time. And then all I need to do there is then put a mark somewhere where I bring it out to, so then all the cuts will be the same length. Now the first cut is going to be longer because I've got to account for the bit that goes into the engine itself. So I'm bringing it down about 30 millimeters and starting from there. And then I carefully rotate that 180 degrees and then line up the lines and it's ready for the next cut. I'm going to line them up about there. They look like they're fairly good size, so I'm just going to continue and cut the rest at that size. Well, I spent about an hour cleaning all these up. So it's deburring the inside and the outside and making sure they're flat on both sides, and then peeling off the tape and cleaning them all. So now they fit fairly nicely. So what I'm going to do is just start off putting about 5 together, checking to see how close to this first bend it is, and going from there. Now, I'm just going to put one tack on each side with the TIG and should be good. There's the first section. Right, first section, similar. I think I've got the right angle to start with, so put that one aside. I'm going to put another 4 together to make that bend. And I'll put 3 together for that bend and see how we go. Pretty close. There's our 3 main bends. We just need to work out how long the pieces need to be between them all. And I think the next step is I will get the chassis back on the table, put the engine in, put this in place and work out where these bends go. There's a possibility that these two can end up just like that. So, put these aside and get the chassis. So I've got the chassis back on the table. I've got the first piece jammed into the head. I've got the muffler mounted on. Now that can move backwards and forwards, but it's roughly where it needs to be. Now these two pieces, on the original exhaust they were about that far apart, but I can put them something like that and that should actually work quite well. So I've just got to cut a piece that'll go from here to here, which I measured up at being about 115 millimeters, and I've just got to tack these two pieces together. Now I worked out what angle they need to go, because with pie cuts you can make them turn any direction you want. So that was pretty much perfect. So I put a little dash across them, line up those two marks, put a tack weld over here on the back, and then clean the mark off before I weld it. I'll cut a piece to go in between there, and once I've got them together, then I can work out how long this piece needs to be, and cut that one as well. That's next. So, I've gone and I've cut the next piece to go in there. So what I'm going to do now, instead of welding this in, I'm going to fit this piece, and to do that I need to make this adapter socket to go inside here. So I've cut another piece, so now I need to just put a split down here, take a section out and then close it up so it fits inside. Once I get one to fit inside the other, then I can weld him up and he should fit nice and neat inside there, and hopefully seal. So next step is cut this. Could get really fancy and work out exactly how much I've got to take out of here by doing the diameter of that times 3.142, and that'll give us the outside of that in millimeters. And we do the diameter of that times 3.142, and then just cut out the difference. But I think I'm just going to wing it by cutting, squishing and jamming it in the hole. So I've got that in position. One fits inside the other. Now, while I was busy doing all this, my TIG fell off the bench. It is a sad day indeed. So, good thing I had a spare shorty back for it, so I can keep going for tonight, but I'm going to have to go buy some new pieces. Alright. Pro tip, if you've got a high frequency TIG and you want to listen to make sure there's gas coming out, never put it right next to your ear like you do with the MIG, because it will shoot an arc out into your jaw and it really hurts. You will only do it once, but it hurts. I'm going to weld this up now and go on from there. Not falling for that one again. Ooh, pretty. So, got that piece done. Now, I'm probably going to put one piece on there, but before I do that, we're going to test fit. At least it should seal now. Invincible. I'm going to have to bevel the end of this to suit, and that other end should be right. So, cut. Alright, we've only got two pieces left to put on the end. One more angle piece and the bit that goes into the actual exhaust. Now I might just try and go inside here and melt this transition in just to smooth it out a little. See how I go. So that's going to be quite hot, so we'll just move him aside for a minute. Just going to put this last bend on here. Once I've got these tacked together, then that can go on the end as well. There we have it. One pipe. Looks pretty good. I want to make the flange to put on the top here, and then fit that up, make sure that that's seated right and that all the bends are in exactly the right position, because I'd hate for me to put it in and that to not be seated flush into the seal in the engine, because that would make things less than ideal. So that flange is next. So I brought a new hole saw just for doing this particular job. Put that aside. Now, you might remember this from when I modified this table. If you don't, it's a great big lump of 5mm stainless. So what I'm going to do is put a hole with the hole saw. After I've got 3 holes, I'll cut out the shape, and then it can be tacked onto the pipe as well. So, this little flange, that took me an hour to make, because it's stainless steel, which is quite hard to cut, especially when you're trying to put a hole saw through it. It goes on the end here. I'll put some marks around the tube where that needs to sit in height, and that's based on the standard exhaust. Now I've fitted it to the engine, and then I've put a couple of marks just in under here so I know where to orientate that. Now before I can weld that on, I need to weld these seams here because it all gets too close, and the amount of heat that I'll need to weld this to the pipe will probably just melt this edge away and, well, ruin it. But then after I've got these welded together, it'll disperse the heat better and not ruin it. So, weld all the joins first. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to have to back purge it, which is where you pump the pipe full of argon before you start, so that the back side of the weld is protected just like the front is when you're welding. Otherwise it all goes black and horrible and it won't flow the exhaust very well. So what we're going to do is use the new back purger that I made. Oh, this is the end of it. But basically wrap up aluminium foil around it, jam it in the tube, and then that will flow argon inside, and I'll bung the other end with more aluminium, and then after we've done that we can weld it. I'll go get the aluminium foil and start purging this thing. That's sitting at about 5 litres a minute. I'm happy enough with that. So, last piece, got to weld that on. So what I've done is put this onto the engine and then take the exhaust. Yeah, that's sitting where it needs to, so, and put some marks on it and the pipe. So now I can just line up those two marks. That means the exhaust pipe will sit exactly where it needs to on the frame. And now it's time to weld it. That looks pretty good now. Everything's lining up where it's meant to. Fairly nice, I think. See if it still fits. I'm pretty stoked with how it came out. What do you think? Yeah, should do the job. Alrighty. So, it'll do for now. I've got to hit it with the acid wash just to take the colour off it, so it looks even nicer, and then it's ready to go. Now, there is a really good video explaining pie cuts and their angles and all that, and I'll put a link to it. And that's an exhaust. So, that's it for this video. As always, customize everything.